Alright, here we go, guys. War number 4. We're up against Bayraktar, and they were a Platinum 1 Alliance last season. So we're starting to get up there. We're starting to face some real opponents, which is no offense to other people that we face, but some opponents where we kind of envision ourselves being. So that's good. We are still tier 2, but we're almost up to a 3,000 war rating, which is great. And I think that the tier 1 cutoff is right around 3,100. So we're about probably 3 to 4 wins away from reaching tier 1, which is great. And if we can get this win here, you guys can see we get a nice little bump there to our war rating. So let's jump into it. We're going to start with bans. And these guys banned the 3 attackers that it seems like the majority of alliances are going to all ban. And that is Quake, Apocalypse, and Kingpin. Apocalypse, just super versatile attacker. Obviously great for most mutants, and he's a global attacker. So that's why he would be banned here. Quake, if you don't have to knock him down, you don't have to worry about Conduit. That's why she's perfect. And then Kingpin is, I think, really moving himself toward the top of the list in terms of best meta attackers. The new war map, as you guys probably know at this point, it has 2 new nodes or updated nodes, node 22 and node 26, which are both brand new hazard shift nodes. Node 22 is hazard shift, incinerate, shock, plus like aggro prowess. And node 26 is now hazard shift, shock, bleed, and a 75% conflictor, which is the strongest in the game. So it is very dangerous. And Kingpin is great for all hazard shift fights unless it's a hard Kingpin counter. So makes sense that he is banned, but you know, we're starting to get used to it. We're starting to figure out ways to get around that. But one placement gave me a lot of trouble this war in terms of planning. I will talk about that. And I ended up taking that fight. So we will see how that went. Spoiler alert, it went. It wasn't great. It wasn't great, but we'll get there. We'll get there. All right, let's scout the map here. Over here, honestly, do not remember who was over here. I think there was a tiger here on Masochism over time. We just used Human Torch. Down here, I think it was a Dragon Man, and this person, I know this person brought Nebula, and they used Nebula down here, so I'm pretty sure it was a Dragon Man. I can't think of any other robot that would be down here. Here we had, I think, a Nimrod, so the person with Nebula took that fight. And then that person also took this node. This was a man thing on node 22. Kingpin would be amazing for this. Obviously he's banned, but Kingpin is great for man thing, especially with the hood synergy. But the Nebula guy just went ahead and took care of this because he felt comfortable with it, and he got it down pretty easily. Up here, I can't remember who was on this path, but I think this node, one of these, I think it was this one, was like a Silver Surfer maybe. And we had our Tiger guy take that. We actually have a couple Tiger guys, but one of them took that even with the global. Over here, you've got the Power Burn and Power Lock with Defender Armor effects. So your best options are going to be like Hulkling, who can't be power burned. He's also, he can go in block bull and stuff like that. So he's a really good option here. And then you can also use like Gallon would be totally fine. We did use a Hulkling here, and we just picked up a Corvus mission on this fight here. Okay, moving along. To path 4, Domino. I mean, anytime I see a Domino, I ask myself, can Nimrod take this fight? And Nimrod can take this fight, so we sent a Nimrod. Just, I think, the safest option against a Domino. Here, we had a Doom take this fight. This fight does have debuff immunity on knockdown, and it's got ebb and flow knockdown. But the debuff immunity does not apply to Doom's passive stuns because they're passive. So he can still heavy chain a heavy, or heavy chain with his passive, shock deal as long as the defender is shocked. And then also his SP3 passive stun will work. Here, I think that we used a Falcon, but you can, I mean, this is kind of a wasted placement in my opinion for Thing. You can really use anybody here. This does not have debuff immunity on knockdown, so it's basically just a standard thing fight. This is interesting placement because obviously with Conduit you typically do not want to knock down the defender, and this node does have debuff immunity after knockdown. So the thinking here, the first layer of thinking here, I presume, was, oh yeah, if you can't parry him cleanly or like knock him down, then he's going to be, or he might be stingy with his specials, can't knock him down, get your ends, blah blah blah. Here's the issue with this placement. Conduit gives the defender an energy damage over time effect, a debuff, on knockdown, which while they have that debuff active, they regenerate 80% of all of the damage that they take, all damage. But because of the debuff immunity after knockdown here, if you knock this Mordo down, the node is actually going to purify those debuffs, so you don't actually have to worry about Conduit on this node, which is kind of interesting. We ended up just using Flame on Human Torch and a Guidance, but yeah, this is probably, Mordo would probably be better served on this node, in my opinion. But anyway, just some interesting information about that node. This, I think is the lesser of the two, the least dangerous of these two nodes here. This has spiked armor at the very least. You can hopefully tick away your opponent's attacker. This one just has critical setup, which is pretty much meaningless, and combat deja vu, prowess, which again, pretty meaningless. I think that we sent a CGR, I can't remember, but it was, very easy solo there. All right, moving on to the right section, the right island here, and this is kind of a unique path here. Path 7, we've got Conflictor here with a Conduit Defender, and then we've got Darkhawk with Vivify. This is good placement, but Null is a global attacker, and Null cannot be auto-blocked on his mediums or heavy attacks or SP1s. You don't want to use a heavy or an SP1 in this fight anyway, but yeah, anyway, we sent a SIG 200 Null. Because he's a sick and tired attacker, if he has 3 or more debuffs on the defender, then he passively heal blocks them, and yeah, obviously he's going to start passively heal block. So don't have to worry about Conduit at all there. And then here we did send, you've got a bunch of options. You could do a Mega Sentinel, even though the Conflictor could be a little bit tricky. We just sent a Warlock, and I'm pretty sure that guy didn't even have Guidance. I think it was just a play this fight stun immune so as to not trigger Conflictor, and get her passively heal blocked, and then throw your SP2s. Okay, so this node, I mean, this has Rich Get Richer, and that's basically all you have to worry about. It does have Mystic Ward, so you can't nullify, but keep in mind, guys, that Stagger does not count as nullify, so you can stagger on this node even with Mystic Ward. Clairvoyance SP2 buff immunity debuff does not count as nullify. You can use that. You can also use CGR's Damnation if he's awakened, which again does not count as a nullify, it just removes buffs. So you still have plenty of options here. This is not a very scary placement. We either sent a Gallon or a CGR, I can't remember, but ultimately very, very easy and safe fight. And then Path 9, I took all 3 of these fights with Cosmic Ghost Rider. You guys will see how those go. But this war, I'm just going to do full standard combat or standard rotation with CGR. Get all these losers fate sealed with Damnation, and here, because of Vision Aarkus's SIG ability, since he's awakened, his SIG ability is Tenacity. He can shrug off your initial parry. I did bring in White Mags to place a Guidance for myself so that I could just bypass that effect. All right, moving along. You guys already know that we had that man thing here. Here we used a Kitty. So Kitty with Guidance, pretty, just a standard Korg fight. Basically, over here, this node is different. It is not EMP modification anymore. EMP mod, I thought, was one of the more restrictive nodes on the map. One of the, kind of more dangerous nodes. And this is, I feel like this is equally dangerous. So this is, it is now Buffet over time and Vigorous Assault. Okay, so Buffet over time, the difference between that and Buffet is just going to automatically regenerate defender health anytime the attacker procs a buff within the Buffet timer. Buffet over time, in combination with Vigorous Assault, is a lot worse because Buffet over time is going to nullify an attacker buff and give the defender a regeneration buff. And it just does that for every nullified buff on the attacker. And with Vigorous Assault, anytime basically you trigger Buffet over time, they're going to be unblockable. Okay, so you really have two simple, straightforward options for a placement like Nick Fury here. You can either use a Buffet immune champ, a champ that cannot be nullified. The two main ones that you would consider for Nick Fury would be like Omega Sentinel and Gallon. We used a Gallon here just because we had a Gallon guy going up. I think he was going on this path. So we used Gallon here. Omega Sentinel would be totally fine. She would work. You could even use somebody like Overseer, who is also immune to nullify. Silver Warrior's immune to nullify. So you have some options. The second choice is to use a hard Nick Fury counter with either Dex off or just not proccing Dex. That playstyle is very easy with Kitty as long as you can parry. Once you get to 3+ prowess, you can just phase everything. You don't have to trigger any buffs, and all of her prowess effects are passive. So Kitty's a great option, but you can also use like Apocalypse if he's not banned. Take Dex off if you want extra safety. Archangel, same deal. So you've got some options there, but we used a Gallon. All right, and then up here, we had the Nebula guy just take these two fights here. Oh, here's Nimrod. Okay, I can't remember who was down here, but yeah, anyway. All right, so he just used Nebula for these two. But, like Overseer would be a really good matchup here. So would Omega Sentinel. They're both Buffet immune and take no damage from poison. Obviously, Overseer is just immune to poison. And then this is very easy CGR fight. You can also use Corvus. You can use, just basically any. He's not a global defender, so any Mysterio counter. Here is where we sent the Null and Warlock guy that took Path 7A. Pretty easy. Null is just really good for this global against armor champs. So you just take that armor off and good to go. Here, this is a really interesting path, actually. So this is Chitinous Thorns, which I'm sure you guys know. Both of these have sloped armor. So for each armor buff on the defender, they have a 30% chance to glance attacker attacks. Now, why that's important is Cosmic Ghost Rider is very standard attacker for this path, and Cosmic Ghost Rider's judgments will fail if he's glanced. So both of these defenders start with an active armor buff, and they are both indefinite armor buffs. So they don't go away unless they're nullified or armor broken. Angela, she starts with one indefinite armor buff, and she will regain that armor buff if she is between 0 and 1 bar of power. And what we ended up doing for this fight is we just sent an Angela with a Power Start 1 boost. On all of her specials, Angela armor breaks. And this Angela had Odin buffs, I believe, and was also high sig. So basically instantly shrug off the Chitinous Thorns bleed if she were to hit Angela when Angela had an armor buff. So PS1, parry, throw your SP1 to armor break her, and then you can just treat this like a normal fight. Just keep recycling your SP1s. Over here, Hulkbuster, man, I honestly think that we used Angela for this one too. Because again, so as a defender, he's going to start with 2 armor buffs. So that's a 60% chance to glance attacks. And this node does have the static shock. So there's a 15% chance per armor buff on the defender to shock the opponent, and it's got enhanced shock. So you don't really want to use CGR here because he'll just take a bunch of shock damage. You can definitely use Hulkling here and just not throw specials or knock him down because of Conduit. But Angela is a really good option with the Power Start 1. Just power armor break him and you're good to go. Again, Nebula up here, very easy. All right, and then 2 very, very common defenders on Path 4B. We've got Null. We use Moleman for that with Stand Your Ground Mastery. Here we use Nimrod. Nimrod also grabbed this Kitty. This is a pretty scary fight for Nimrod. I've heard that from a lot of people. I don't have Nimrod, but I understand why. Basically, Nimrod has no way to prevent plasma buildup on himself. So at some point with Nimrod, even though he's a great counter in general for Havoc, with this node, which is the debuff unblockable node, Havoc is going to be unblockable for a lot of this fight. So if you want to avoid the unblockable, you have a few options. You can use a power drainer. So anytime you power drain Havoc, you will essentially shrug off all of the plasma debuffs on yourself. Basically, as long as he's being power drained, he cannot put plasmas on you. So you've got Vision AOU, you've got OG Vision, you've got even Dr. Voodoo. If you want to use a Power Start 1 boost and just recycle your SP2s to power drain him, you can do that. You can also use Warlock and just parry a bunch at the start, get him power drained. As long as he's got willpower, you're good there. And then another option is just Quake. If she's not banned, she's great for both of these fights. She bypasses his anti-evade mediums with her concussion, so you can Quake both of these fights if you want. Here we just use Kitty. Kitty's a really easy counter for Bishop almost anywhere, and Kitty is also a very common attacker for this path. So I don't really like these placements, but Kitty with the Tiger synergy, unblockable at 10 plus prowess effects, is just very easy for Kitty, so that's what we did here. Here we used a Scorpion. I've talked about this in I think every single war video this season so far, but when he throws his SP1, he inflicts the defender with a taunt, and if he's awakened, as long as the defender is taunted, he can block their unblockable special attacks. But you can also use like a hard mutant counter here, like Omega Sentinel, Nimrod, whatever you want to do, and then you can use like Torch with or without Flame On. The only thing here with this Rentra is you want to keep knocking him down to keep his mystical charges low. You want to keep him below 10 mystical charges at all times. And every time you knock him down, he loses 5. So that's an easy way to do that. But this node does have Disorient on parry. So you either want to play him stun immune, or, obviously if Apocalypse isn't banned, he gains Disorient immunity. You can just easily parry him. But Torch is a good option here. Because obviously every time you take a blocked hit from a Mystic, you're building Smolders. And then we use Torch with Flame On and Guidance here because it does have Mighty Charge, which purifies debuffs on dash-ins. Alright, so this is the fight that really effed me up pretty bad. Alright, so this is the this is a brand new node design here for node 26. It has Hazard Shift, Shock and Bleed, and critically, it has Conflictor, but the Conflictor is 75% of a bar of power, which is the strongest in the game. The other two main Conflictor nodes, which are on 7A and then the mini-boss, are 50% of a bar of power. So, alright, so I'm just going to walk you through kind of my thought process. So, you've got Shock Bleed, alright? So first thing I'm doing is, alright, let's go through the Shock Bleed immune champs, and let's see if we can find a counter. Obviously, Nebula. The other thing is I'm looking at this path, which is also the Shock Bleed, and you're like, all right, is there anybody that can take all 3 of these fights? Nebula won't work, obviously. Ghost is banned. She's blacklisted, but she won't work here because it's Magneto. Nimrod, who is a good Magneto counter because he can't have his ability accuracy reduced by mutant champs, won't work because of Conduit, because he deals energy damage. You have terrax, who is Shock and Bleed immune. He also deals energy damage with his rock field up, so that will just regenerate Magneto. Plus his armor breaks will feed Conflictor, just not a good option. So Kingpin is obvious. He's the obvious option here, but he's banned, and obviously they built their map around a Kingpin ban. Without Kingpin, I was really struggling here, and I can't. They're basically 2, I think, good options, or I honestly. I think there's one good option for this placement with Kingpin banned. And also with, obviously with Ghost blacklisted. And you know what? I'll say there are 2 good options. Alright, one good option is Thing. Thing is Shock and Bleed immune with Guidance. He doesn't inflict debuffs. And if you have a Torch synergy, then he can just basically passively convert any additional rock stacks over 20 into Furies, so he can build up Furies without removing his rock stacks, which is great. I'm sure that he can get through this fight very easily. All right, so Thing is probably the safest from a planner's perspective. Thing with Guidance is going to be the safest option here. I would say the second safest option is Kitty Pryde. Now she's not bleed immune, she's not shock immune, but You can play this fight without knockdown, so you don't have to worry about any kind of energy damage. So you bypass conduit, you don't have to worry about conflictor as long as you have guidance. And with the Tigress energy and guidance, you're going to be gaining a lot of prowess really quickly just by parrying, and then you can just phase the entire fight, and you can probably heal from willpower. So Kitty is very safe as well, and those are really the only two safe options. What I ended up doing is I took this fight with my rank 3 unawakened Omega Sentinel. Now Omega Sentinel is, obviously she's fully bleed resistant, but she relies on debuffs. So and she can heal block with one of her pre-fights. So she's a decent option here, but I really underestimated how extreme 75% of a bar of power for Conflictor was. Honestly, what I was thinking is, 75%, that's bad, but that's not, it's not even a full bar of power. Like, I can play around it, not a big deal. And what I failed to consider is, that's just for Conflictor. You still have to worry about combat power. So you guys are going to see that this fight was just honestly a fucking disaster. But you'll see it, of course. And then I went up this path. I took both of these fights. I'm pretty sure I took this fight with CGR, but it might have been Omega Sentinel. But I took both of these fights here. Definitely use CGR here. I would prefer like a Rintra or a neutralized champ against Hulkling just because he's so dangerous from getting, missing parries and stuff. But CGR worked fine. And then over here, we ended up using, you can use Nebula for both of these fights, but we ended up using a Falcon here. As long as he is locked on when he hits Void, he'll never get inflicted with the Hazard Shift debuffs. And then here we used a Blade, who is a global attacker, so that's great. Obviously, you just build up to 3 bars of power and hold your power, and you can just basically parry this guy, bleed him out, and you can, you'll shrug those Hazard Shift debuffs, almost instantly at max sig. And Mephisto is a dimensional being, so that's good. And then moving on to Mini Island, we're almost done with the scouting phase here. Moving on to Mini Island, the Doom boss here, honestly, this is just a really tough boss. With his block penetration, it's a rank 4, it's global affected, which, I mean, come on, Kabam. You really don't need to help him out as a defender. But we did use a Human Torch here. We don't have any rank 4 Human Torches in this battle group. So we used a rank 3 Human Torch, but knowing that this was going to be a really scary fight, what we did was we made sure that we could build that Human Torch up as much as possible, give him as much help as possible. So that person brought Guardian synergy for or not synergy, but Guardian on his team for the extra block proficiency to help negate some of the block damage. He had 9 out of 9 greater vitality to give him 8% additional health. And then also, obviously, Flame On, obviously had guidance. He also had read debuffs, which, again, you don't want to knock this Doom down. So those read debuffs only lasted 1 cycle, but, one of them was debuff Siphoner. So still helps a little bit. And then also had some Odin buffs just to help a little bit. Like if he were to get hit, it would cap the damage that he took, stuff like that. So we loaded him up as quickly as as much as possible. The person soloed, had what I thought was a perfect fight, didn't take any hits, really played it flawlessly, and finished with only 40% health. So that's how scary this fight is. Again, with everything kind of boost masteries ideal in that situation, and then also with the Guardian synergy, still lost 60% health just from block damage. So really tough fight here, but I think he's the best option. I think he's the safest option. But maybe Kitty would work, but man, I would not want to take that fight with Kitty. But all right, we used a Red Hulk with Dex off here, but you can use Torch with or without Flame On. I just recommend any champ that you're going to use for this fight, just take Dex off. It's going to make it a lot easier. You don't have to worry about Mystic Dispersion, and you can just be a lot more aggressive that way. I took this fight with CGR, who is an attacker, tactic attacker. And you just want to use an invuln because it's possible that he could get to an SP3. Here we use Torch with Flame On. I don't think we had guidance here, but you don't need it. It's Maw anyway, so you're not going to land clean parries regularly. But yeah, Torch just smoked that. We use Scorpion, of course, up here, as you guys know I like to do. Down here we used a Torch with Flame On. But you can use Archangel. You can use Torch without Flame on if you want, but Sasquatch has so much health, especially once he starts to regenerate and stuff. Just really annoying. His regeneration effects are passive, though, so you don't have to worry about Vigorous Assault here because they only apply to regeneration buffs. We use Torch without Flame on here. Very wasteful placement, in my opinion. And then we use Torch without Flame on, but with Guidance here. Good placement, but Torch is just too strong there. So, okay, that is it. Let's skip ahead a little bit, and here you guys are going to see my team is White Mags, Omega Sentinel for that that Magneto fight, and then CGR for most of the work. All right, so here we are at terrax. Now, this node I've talked about, anytime you're facing a defender that you just really need to kill as quickly as possible, like a Void, then you would want to use a Power Start 1 boost, completely ignore your Judgment Cycle, and just do Parry, Light Ender to get the power gain. That should put you over or right at 2 bars of power with the Power Start 1 boost, and then Parry right into your SP2. The Cosmic Power boosts are going to take you up to an SP2 or an SP3, and you can just basically nuke that fight before the Poison phase comes around. On this war, though, I took all 3 of these fights with a standard full Judgment rotation. So I did, Parry Heavy, Parry Light Ender, Parry Medium Ender into SP2, and then with Cosmic Power Boost, I was able to get to an SP3 and end the fights. All right, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. Here, all I'm doing there is throwing on, the Devil Edge Mastery for the extra attack. All right, so here we go. Now, you guys are going to see up here that when I'm armor broken, he is going to get that Fury effect from the Schadenfreude node right here. It's 480%. So if you screw up here when they have this Fury, you're just in deep shit. But that's why we do the full Judgment Cycle there. We just take away that Fury buff with Damnation, and he is nuked. He be nuked. All right, and then this next node is a Human Torch, and the Human Torch node has Power Focus 1, so they're going to get to a bar of power a lot faster, and it's also got Indestructible 1, so when the attacker reaches a bar of power, the defender gets an indestructible buff. So again, if you're using Cosmic Ghost Rider, you just want him to be awakened, and you want to do Damnation or just do a full Judgment Cycle, so you can completely just Fate Seal him and get rid of that buff. And you guys will see it up here in just a second. There's the Conduit effect. You guys can see that he's regenning. There is the Indestructible, because I have over a bar of power. I'm just ignoring everything about this node right now. I'm also missing parries. I missed two parries at the start, so I'm just going to wait this poison phase out. There we go. We're just going to finish our Judgment Cycle, and with a medium, throw the SP2, which gives us 2 judgments. We're at 5. That gives him Damnation, takes away the buff, and all good. You guys know how CGR works, but I just like talking through it because I like him so much, man. All right, next fight, Aarkus. It also has the 480% Fury buff, Schadenfreude, which is it's a good spot to put Aarkus. Anytime you're close to him, he's going to armor break you, and if you're not Cold Snap immune, he will inflict Cold Snap on you, so there are 2 debuffs. Those will start to do a lot of damage with that extra Fury, and then obviously if you screw up against him, you're going to get hurt pretty badly. Also, Awakened, his SIG ability is Tenacity. I don't know what SIG this one is. I can't remember. I did look I don't think I looked, actually. Anyway, it doesn't matter for me because I'm using Wag's Guidance here, which will bypass Tenacity with the passive stun effect. All right, and then because of his power gain and all that stuff, we just want to do the full cycle here. And once we get to the full cycle, boom, he's dead. And Damnation, the SIG, his SIG level is actually gonna finish the fight there for me. With that Damnation degen damage, which is so minimal, it's actually hilarious. But all right, oh man, all right. So this fight, all right. So here was the game plan. Let me just kind of walk you guys through the game plan here. This fight is really scary here, and I will never take this fight again or assign this fight to an Omega Sentinel again with Conduit. But the reason that I took this with Omega Sentinel is because of Conduit. I want to heal block him. Okay, so I could select the heal block pre-fight, which I completely forget to do. And then you can just inflict it with a medium. Now on this node, because it has conflictor, it's the first time you inflict it, it's going to get eaten by conflictor and give him 75% of a bar of power on top of the combat power that you've given him from your 2 medium hits. So basically it's going to take him over a bar of power, and then you're going to have to inflict that debuff again for it to stick. Now I don't even start in the heal block with the heal block weapon, so I have to do a heavy attack to switch over to heal block before I can even get that debuff up, which is just 2 extra heavy hits, which are going to feed his combat power. And yeah, basically the conflictor on this node is just so potent. It's just really scary fight. But and you know, also this is my first time I think using Omega Sentinel in War, so I just don't really know. Like, I dueled with her, obviously. I just don't really know how to use her very well. So there I missed a parry at the start. There you guys see I inflict cowardice because I didn't select the heal block pre-fight, but it does eat, what's it called? Conflictor. I still have not noticed that, hey, idiot, you need to switch over. All right, there we get the heal block up. So now to keep this up, we either need to heavy deposit or we need to do a full light ending combo. But what I keep doing is a medium to intentionally trigger conflictor because I keep seeing the conflictor timer coming around. What I should have done is ignore the conflictor timer at that point and just do medium, light the entire time. Basically, when this is up, I should only be doing light ending full combos, ignore conflictor completely. And then what I need to do is make sure that I wanted to throw my SP2 when conflictor was down because of all the incinerates. Now here I'm going to throw the SP3 because I get pushed to an SP3. Conflictor is down. We're going to automatically inflict 6 incinerates on him. Alright, and then you guys can see that he was up to 2.5 bars of power. Here he throws his special 2. Obviously, I am not 100% on dexing it. I'm not going to risk it. I have 5 armor breaks on me right now. Plus, even though I can't have my ability accuracy reduced by mutants, because I'm magnetized, he's still getting that enhanced attack. Alright, so we just take this on the block, and holy shit, just absolutely destroyed me through the block. So I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my god, what the fuck am I going to do here? And, yeah, so, you know, just going well at the moment. Alright, so all I need to focus on is keeping this up because of Conduit. I need to do light ending combos. Here I do my first light ending combo. And here, at this point, I'm like, okay, I have this fight. I don't want him throwing another SP2 because I honestly think that it's possible if I block it, it could kill me from 32% with 7 armor breaks. So I'm close enough. I think I'm going to kill him with my SP1. So I'm just going to chain a full light ending combo into my SP1. The light ender will pause this heal block and all of my debuffs, and the SP1 will do additional damage. So here I go. I'm like, all right, 12%. We are good to go. We escaped. I throw it, and this is this is where we're at. So I'm just like, oh my fuck. I lost my invulnerability boost. That's gone. All he's got to do is throw his SP3. I'm like, holy Christ, what am I going to do? So I just immediately start hitting into him, and you guys can see that I got insanely lucky. He just turtled up a little bit, and yeah, I absolutely should have died. I do think that if I played that fight again, I would be fine, but I'm not fucking with that anymore. We're not going to do that matchup anymore. We're just going to do super safe. It's either going to be Kitty or Thing. That's it. So one note here. Okay, these things are like the best thing in the game. I love this, and I don't even care that Kabam wants to monetize these. That's totally fine, because you know what? 1 energy refill worth 2 energy tiles for 25 units is one of the best values for your units in the entire game if you play competitive war. Anytime you're doing war fights, number one, you're strategizing on how to utilize your boosts. You want to take as many fights as possible typically on one set of boosts so you can conserve additional boosts. But also, man, just the feeling of if you're going through your war fights, especially if you're winning war fights and you feel good, you know, you're already in the competitive mindset. You just want to do as many war fights as possible while you're in that mindset. It's harder to walk away and then get yourself refocused mentally when you come back after 2 or 3 hours. It's just a lot harder to do in my experience. So these are amazing. I think that those are the ones that we got 2 from Kabam for free, and then I got 1 for 15K loyalty. But throughout the season, I'm just going to be buying those for 25 units. I'm just going to buy them basically when I want to clear my fights. I'm just going to clear all of my fights. If I have to spend 100 units to buy 4 of them, I do not care. I'm going to do those because I think that those are, the best among the best items that you can spend your units on in the entire game. And I think that the price, 25 units, is totally fair too. So really excited about those. I cannot believe that Kabam actually introduced those, but I'm really happy that they did. So, all right, now I was really nervous for this fight even before the Magneto fight. But after the Magneto fight, I'm like, oh my god, am I going to die here? Just because like my hands are shaking. I should have taken a 10, 15-minute break. But again, when you're in that mindset, I was at least focused. Now, the scary part with CGR against hulkling here, as you guys probably know, is when hulkling hits into your block, he gains a pierce buff. Each pierce buff that he gets, up to 4, is going to really start to do some heavy damage into your block. And CGR can't take those away until you've got to parry at least 3 times to get your full judgment cycle. So parry heavy, parry light ender, parry medium ender into your SP2. So that's 3 black tits that I know I'm going to take. That's 3 pierce buffs that he's going to get before I can fate seal him with damnation. So I'm just nervous about this fight. The other thing is, I know that if I'm missing parries like I have in the last couple fights, or a couple fights in this war, then I'm just going to take more block damage, and he's also going to be gaining a lot of power from Rich Get Richer until I can fate seal him. So this is just a dangerous, I think it's a little bit more of a dangerous matchup. It was the best spot for me to take my team this war, so that's why I did it, but you guys can see that he's gaining a lot of power just from Rich Get Richer. So if he were to throw his SP1, I would just have to get out of the way of it. All right, and then I'm just, he's going to end up throwing his SP3. That's okay. We did anticipate this as something that could happen, so we used the invulnerability boost. Not a big deal. It's also going to give us an armor buff. So now I have more buffs than him, so I'm gaining power, and I had to throw my SP2. Even if it didn't land, that would have been okay, to make sure that I didn't get up to my SP3. But now with the 11 armor breaks and the cosmic power boost getting me to SP3, plus the fury buff that you gain automatically when you have an SP3, this fight's over. But kind of a nerve-wracking fight. And my hands were literally shaking after the Magneto fight because I absolutely should have died. But we get lucky. I think that everybody gets a couple of those a season where you should have died and you get through it. And I'm just grateful that it happened there. And I'm going to try everything that I can to just avoid that happening in the future. Now, originally I was going to take this fight with a Mega Sentinel, but I was like, look, there's absolutely no need here. CGR is perfect for this fight, and he's going to be way, way faster. Plus, my Omega Sentinel got her ass beat by Magneto, and I don't need to use those items up. So here you go. Right decision on this matchup here. It's a standard 15-second CGR fight. And then we've just got one more fight after this, and it's the Hyperion. And the Hyperion fight is going to look a little bit similar to the hulkling fight, where he's going to be gaining power. So he could potentially throw a special. Now with CGR, you really don't want to spoil your precision buff by dexing. So I'm just going to use an invuln here. If he throws a special, I'm just going to block it. And if he gets up to an SP3, I'm just going to let him throw it. Doesn't matter. All I want to do is get to my 5th judgment and my SP2, and the fight will be over. And we've got 30 seconds left on our invuln boost, so we are good to go. Just going to block the first part. Now here we do get the falter which is fine. We'll just wait that out. It's not a big deal. I could have also avoided that just by throwing my medium ender for the vigilance as my second judgment instead of the light ender, but yeah, I just didn't think of that really. I didn't think I would get faltered at all, but yeah. Anyway, super safe. There we go. And yeah, that was my war. So we haven't died yet this season. We absolutely should have died once, but we got very, very lucky. Magneto, I owe you one big time, buddy. And yeah, here was the final score. So you know, as has been typical of our opponents so far this season, this number is not indicative of how good this alliance is. The war was a lot closer until we cleared, but we just tend to clear on night one. We're usually clearing pretty early, and we cleared really early, and they had already lost. So yeah, I think at that point they probably just stopped using items, and it's just clear the map. I still think for most top competitive alliances, tier 1 alliances, you know, you're not going to see them do this because points actually make a difference. But I think that this alliance is pretty comfortable finishing probably in Platinum 1, and so they just kind of got through it. But you know, pretty happy with this. A couple of these too were just honestly really fluky. So we're getting to where we need to be, and where I want us to be is in the 3 range, basically. If we can clear between 1 and 3 on a consistent basis, we're going to win most of our wars. And frankly, most alliances can't even clear with 3 or fewer deaths anyway. That's when we're talking about the absolute cream of the crop alliances, like the alliances that we are striving to become over time. The alliances like Noon, GT40, JA, alliances that can regularly clear with 1 or 2 deaths. And, you know, the goal of this alliance is ultimately, the stretch goal is to at some point be the best war alliance in the world. Now, that's not being arrogant, because I'm not saying, oh, it's automatic, it's going to happen. I think that it definitely can happen with the group that we've got, but, you know, I'm just very, I understand that if we want to be that, we need to drop this down to like 1 or 2 or 3. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're on our way, because all of these we learned from, and we're getting better every war. So anyway, very happy with the alliance. We've been awesome so far this season. We're up to 4-0, and you guys can see our war rating. We're over 3K finally. So we are getting there. A couple more war wins, I think, and we should reach tier 1. And then that should set us up really nicely for next season to make our first Masters push. So anyway, that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.